The unraveling of Meghan Markle's Hollywood chapter didn't erupt from a single scandal or one explosive headline. Instead, it unfolded gradually, a subtle shift that few noticed until it had already gone too far. When she first settled in California, Meghan was treated like a prized asset, the glamorous Duchess who brought a dash of royalty to an industry obsessed with novelty and prestige. Invitations flooded in, photo ops were carefully staged, and publicists buzzed about her potential as Hollywood's next power player. For a fleeting moment, it looked as if she had discovered a secret formula no one else could crack. Yet behind the sparkle, the foundation was already weakening. Relationships that should have been cultivated with care were treated more like props, leaving those who might have become loyal allies feeling used rather than valued. Her downfall wasn't tied to one disastrous interview or a single failed deal. It was the result of a series of decisions that gradually alienated the very network she had once worked so hard to build. Hollywood may appear to be a land of endless opportunity, but in truth, it functions as a tight-knit ecosystem built on loyalty, trust, and discretion. Once someone's reliability comes into question, doors don't just close quietly. Eventually, they slam shut, and that's exactly what unfolded. Insiders began noticing that Meghan's style of networking felt transactional, more like collecting contacts than building genuine connections. Whispered accounts circulated about how she treated her earliest supporters. Stories of fractured friendships, including those with Jessica Mulroney and Millie Mackintosh, quietly spread, cementing the image of someone who climbed by, leaning on others, only to discard them when they no longer served her purpose. This growing perception clashed directly with her public moves. The Oprah interview, which Meghan may have viewed as a bold declaration of independence, sent a chill through Hollywood's elite. Their concern wasn't about the monarchy, it was about themselves. If she was willing to expose the secrets of a centuries-old institution on primetime television, what might stop her from doing the same to them? In an industry that thrives on carefully controlled images, the fear of betrayal runs deep. One by one, high-profile allies began to back away. Invitations slowed to a trickle. PR teams started quietly warning their clients to steer clear. At first, it wasn't dramatic. There were no explosive statements or messy public fallouts, just a quiet reshuffling of who fit where in Hollywood's inner circles. By the time hushed whispers turned into firm warnings from top agencies, the damage was already irreversible. What began as subtle hesitation soon hardened into outright avoidance. Publicists instructed their star clients to decline photo ops with her, no matter how casual the setting. Guest lists were quietly rearranged at events where her presence was rumored. In some cases, celebrities even slipped out mid-party once they realized she was in attendance. It wasn't a conspiracy or personal vendetta. It was self-preservation. No one wanted to jeopardize their own brand by being linked to someone increasingly defined by controversy. The irony couldn't be sharper. Meghan once saw herself as the perfect bridge between Hollywood and royalty, a glamorous connector whose presence elevated everyone around her. Instead, she became the cautionary tale whispered in backrooms about what happens when access is mistaken for influence. What makes her fall even more fascinating is the speed of the reversal. When she first arrived, glossy magazines hailed her and Prince Harry as Hollywood's new power couple, speculating about mega deals and high-profile partnerships. Fast forward just a few years, and those same outlets are running headlines about party snubs, fading friendships, and whispers of blacklisting. The shift has been so dramatic that insiders now point to her as a textbook example of how not to navigate fame and influence. Once celebrated as a bold disruptor, she's now referenced as a case study in professional self-sabotage. The descent wasn't just rapid, it was absolute, leaving even industry veterans stunned at how thoroughly she squandered every advantage she once held. Hollywood insiders trace Meghan's downfall to a clear pattern. The shift from being a coveted red carpet draw to a cautionary label whispered among agents and publicists. The industry thrives on collaboration, but only when there's an unspoken guarantee, discretion, trust, and a long-term commitment to mutual success. Meghan, however, built a reputation for breaking those rules. Friends and allies who once welcomed her into their homes and circles began to feel like props in a storyline she was scripting. Useful for a moment, discarded once their part was done. This wasn't just idle gossip from detractors. It was reflected in the silence of unanswered calls, the absence of repeat invitations, and the growing chill from those who had once embraced her. Public rifts only cemented the narrative. Her accusations against Victoria Beckham, suggesting the designer had leaked personal details to the press, struck insiders as not only paranoid but deeply insulting. To cast suspicion on someone with global influence, a thriving fashion empire, and strong ties to the royals made Meghan seem petty and ungrateful. The Beckhams, in turn, aligned themselves firmly with William and Kate, where they've remained polished polished, reliable allies. The contrast was stark. On one side, enduring alliances with the monarchy. On the other, Meghan caught in battles with her own suspicions. A similar story played out with George and Amal Clooney. Though they were seated prominently at her royal wedding, insiders noted that the bond lacked genuine friendship. When surface-level connections became apparent, Hollywood took notice. For all its flair, the industry is ruthlessly attuned to authenticity, and nothing sours faster than the sense of being used as window dressing. Her business ventures mirrored the same trajectory. Meghan and Harry's Netflix deal, trumpeted as an $87 million breakthrough, was expected to produce prestige programming and long-term impact. Yet inside boardrooms, murmurs began. While other creators sparked buzz and cultural traction, Meghan's projects struggled to hold relevance beyond their debut. One executive went so far as to call her the most high-maintenance, low-yield talent we've ever worked with. That brutal assessment spread quickly, and in Hollywood, reputations move faster than contracts. When your own partners question your worth, the unease ripples outward, making every potential collaborator think twice before tying their brand to yours. Perhaps most damaging of all was Meghan's tendency to frame her setbacks as part of elaborate conspiracies. According to multiple accounts, she became convinced that her projects were being deliberately undermined by hidden forces in Hollywood. One striking example, she reportedly pointed to Taylor Swift's engagement announcement with Travis Kelce, claiming the timing was orchestrated to eclipse the launch of her Netflix lifestyle series. To outsiders, the theory sounded absurd. Swift runs a global empire, and the idea that she would schedule one of the most personal milestones of her life around Meghan Markle's programming rollout was laughable. But Meghan's inner circle said these theories were repeated often, reinforcing the impression of someone drifting deeper into paranoia. Once collaborators believe you see enemies in every corner, working together becomes nearly impossible. The real blow came with rejection from figures like Dolly Parton. Dolly is celebrated industry-wide for her generosity, warmth, and willingness to champion other women. For someone of her reputation to decline a collaboration was a signal that reverberated louder than any tabloid headline. Meghan, however, reportedly attributed Dolly's refusal to Kate Middleton, claiming the Princess of Wales had personally influenced the decision. To industry insiders, this wasn't just implausible, it sounded unhinged. And if Meghan was willing to drag someone as universally respected as Dolly into her royal suspicions, it raised an uncomfortable question. What safe space could she offer anyone else? In Hollywood, where fragile egos and carefully managed brands rule the game, this was the final straw. Dolly's polite but firm no became the moment insiders treated Meghan as untouchable. The fallout is now visible in ways no whisper campaign could disguise. At industry events, A-listers carefully reposition themselves to avoid even the chance of being photographed near her. Paparazzi photos tell the story without words. Stars changing direction mid-step, groups subtly rearranging, and Meghan left standing in glittering rooms that somehow feel empty around her. The absence of genuine celebrity support now stands out as starkly as a spotlight, signaling to the entire industry that Meghan is no longer part of Hollywood's inner circle. For someone who once sought validation through high-profile appearances, the deliberate cold shoulder has become her most humiliating storyline. The deeper issue is that she has nothing left to leverage. Before marrying Prince Harry, Meghan was a moderately known actress. The Duchess of Sussex title catapulted her into global recognition overnight, but that power came from its royal association, not from her own career achievements. By cutting ties with the monarchy and then publicly attacking it, she dismantled the very currency that made her valuable in Hollywood's hyper-competitive marketplace. The industry doesn't reward titles for their own sake. It rewards the weight behind them: access, mystique, and enduring prestige. Stripped of that, Meghan is just another lifestyle personality in an overcrowded market, competing against established household names with more credibility, likability, and cultural relevance. The ripple effect shows in her social orbit. Once photographed alongside the Clooneys, the Beckhams, and other heavyweights, Meghan now finds herself aligned with figures whose reputations carry baggage of their own. Chrissy Teigen's involvement in her lifestyle brand wasn't a power move. It was evidence of a shrinking Rolodex. And when the Kardashian family, masters of scandal and self-promotion, choose to keep their distance, the message is unmistakable. The risks of association outweigh the benefits. If a dynasty built on controversy won't embrace you, the verdict is devastatingly clear. Meghan has cornered herself into a network where only the canceled or the desperate remain willing to collaborate, a far cry from the A-list power circle she once pursued. Netflix insiders have been candid about the problem. Behind closed doors, they describe meetings where Meghan brushes off disappointing viewership numbers as sabotage rather than weak execution. She reportedly demands the same promotional backing reserved for proven stars, yet delivers shows that struggle to spark any organic buzz. Instead of owning the shortcomings, she leans into theories about shadowy, dark forces, convinced there's a coordinated effort to silence her. For executives focused on building profitable franchises, this mindset isn't just frustrating, it's untenable. No company wants to pour millions into a partner who refuses to adapt, who blames enemies instead of rethinking strategy. In a business that prizes adaptability and humility, Meghan's rigidity has become her undoing. Her handling of personal relationships reinforces the narrative. Longtime allies like Jessica Mulroney, once among her fiercest defenders, were abruptly cut off when they no longer suited her needs. Friends such as Millie Mackintosh, who offered genuine support, were sidelined the moment they didn't fit the image Meghan wanted to project. The pattern was impossible to ignore. If she could discard old friends with such ease, what security could new allies expect? In Hollywood, reputation spreads faster than any press release, and Meghan's reputation has become a glaring red flag. The most sobering reality is its permanence. Hollywood is forgiving of small mistakes, but it never forgets those who torch bridges while clinging to self-importance. Meghan cannot rewrite her very public attacks on the royal family, nor can she recreate the magic of a wedding guest list that once captured the world's imagination. The royals have moved forward, bolstered by global admiration and a circle of loyal celebrity allies. Meghan, meanwhile, stands apart, retreating into theories of sabotage while the world continues without her.